rebuilding trust. That's the number one currency you need to build if you ever want a chance of reconciliation or to create the thriving and fulfilling relationship that you want. Now, I see a lot of you though. You are focusing on all the right things to say, all the right things to do, but the complaint that I hear from many of you is that even though you're trying everything, what you think is everything that you can try to do, nothing is really moving the needle in terms of creating trust with your partner. In this video, I want to show you the one thing that you're missing from your approach. And once my clients get this one thing right, that's when everything really clicks in place for them. And it's also when I got this one thing right. That's when everything clicked for my relationship as well. And if you want to see more content that really cuts through the tons of BS around this topic and gets you everything you need to help you reconcile and create that dream relationship that you're looking for, then subscribe to this channel and click that bell button as well to be notified when I post new videos every single week. So let's start understanding what this one thing is by understanding what we call the circles of trust in our program. And the circles of trust basically have three concentric circles. On the outside of the circle is the what. This is really the what you do and what you say, the tactics, if you will. Then within that is the how. And that's how you say what you say. And the inner circle is what we call the why. That's really the intentions in which you do the how and the what. And the thing about these three circles is that they need to be working in harmony. So if you just have the right what without the right how or the why, that's not gonna cut it, obviously. But even if you just have the right what and the right how, but not the right why, this is the moment when you think you'll have the right how, but without the right why, it'll be impossible for you to get the how right. And a great example of this is people who would spend tons of time scouring YouTube videos, scouring articles, scouring books on finding the right things to say, the right what and the right how, but never about the right why. Never about asking, do I have the right intentions behind the how and the what? And you can spend years or decades studying the right what and the how without the why. There's no way trust can be rebuilt. And this is actually the key reason why I always say tactics alone will never work. Why in our program we always start with the internal shift, the intentions first. And why I refuse, even though it will probably get me a lot more views, a lot more popularity, I refuse to talk about just the tactics alone without talking about the deeper inner principles. Because you can think that you have the right what and the right how, but again, without the right why, there is about a 0% chance you will actually have the right how and the right what. And so to understand this a bit deeper, let's talk about the essence of what it means to create trust. And the first piece to creating trust is that you need to have the right actions. But it's not actually that simple because you need to have the right actions during moments when you absolutely cannot fake your actions any longer. So for example, imagine that you are right now struggling to trust someone in your life and you see them do 100 actions. 99 of those actions, you can see that, okay, I can understand why they would kind of fake it, how they can fake it. They could have planned it, for example. They could have thought about it beforehand. They could have scripted it. Would those 99 right actions count for you to be able to trust that person, that that person has changed, is different, etc.? Probably not. But it's that one single moment when you think to yourself, he did this thing that showed that he's changed, he's different now, then maybe I can trust him. And I cannot see any ulterior motives, any ways he could have planned that. Maybe that's who he is now. That's the one single moment out of the 100 that'll make you really question your distrust and gets you closer to trusting that person. So that first piece is the right action, and specifically the right action in moments you cannot fake. That's crucial. The second piece to this is also the right reaction. And it's not just the right reaction, but right reaction in the moments that you cannot fake. And the classic example that I see a lot of my clients falling for, especially in the beginning, is let's say they learn in the program to start listening and maybe even asking more questions. And so they start listening and asking more questions, but their partner sees them listening and asking more questions in the wrong way. So maybe she says, you know what? I don't like how you're sounding right now. This sounds weird. You sound like you're a therapist right now. I don't like that. And let's imagine here, once your partner resists you like that, you suddenly back down and you say, oh, I'm sorry, partner. I'm not gonna do that again. So that's you having a reaction to your partner's resistance. But think about it. What does that reaction really tell you? That reaction tells you that your partner was right in assuming that the reasons why you're listening and asking questions was bred out of bad intentions. And when she resisted, she basically called you out on your bad intentions and you back down. So that's a moment when you had the wrong reaction, and that wrong reaction will really do a lot of damage in trust. But imagine if instead of reacting that way, you calmly just explain to your partner, hey, here's the reason why I'm listening now, because I was a terrible listener before and we caused a lot of arguments because of that, and now I'm trying to listen better. So here, your partner resists, but the reaction you give is bred out of a strong why, strong intention. That can be a moment that can be extremely beneficial for trust building. And now when you look at this formula for creating trust, really again, the most important part of this is during moments when you cannot fake. So what are moments that are easy to fake? So these include actions and reactions that can be easily planned, can be easily scripted. These are the things you do and say during moments when things are easy. Maybe it's even like the one-hit wonders where you do some things right here and there, but not all the time. But what's really hard to fake are the actions and reactions you take that are out of curveballs, that are impossible to be planned, that are impossible to be scripted. During the really hard moments when you're tired, when you're exhausted, when you're sleepy, for example, when you're in a bad mood, during tough situations, for example, when you blow out your tire, and during hard moments, for example, or consistency, that's really hard to fake as well. So again, back to the circles of trust again. So why do I say then that the wrong why will make it impossible for you to have the right how and the right what, and will make it ultimately impossible for you to create that trust? The first reason is that when you have the wrong why, you can never be a performer. And you need your actions to be based out of a performer's mindset, a performer's mastery, for it to be trustworthy. So I want you to imagine something here. Imagine you seeing a basketball player, and you are a coach for this basketball player, and you are trying to trust this basketball player's ability to win games and basically progress your team forward. But you see that this person is having a great game, but is exerting so much effort. To play this great is so difficult for him. And not only is it difficult for him, he doesn't really enjoy it. And you also see that he may do well in some games, but he does terribly in other games. So it's very inconsistent. Can you trust this player? The answer is of course not, because this player is not really a performer. This player is an amateur, and we always say amateurs always practice something until they can get it right sometimes. But true performers master something until they cannot get it wrong anymore. Now imagine if you look at the same performer again, and now he's effortlessly having a great game. And not only does he have the great game that one time, but he repeats that great game every single day. You will think, that's no longer a fluke. I can trust this guy. This guy is reliable. This guy is consistent, because that guy is a performer. And if you have the wrong why behind why you're changing, why you're doing the work to improve yourself, why you're doing the work to better yourself as a husband, for example, you will never have the right motivation to master something until you can no longer get it wrong. And it's because these people with the wrong why, they do only because they want to have. The why behind their doing is really they want to have, but they're not doing because they are. And you can see this lack of consistency show up in so many areas of life. The easiest one to see is really why people yo-yo diet. The reason why people yo-yo diet is that the reason why they're dieting is not because they made it a lifestyle, but because they want to have that weight loss. And so once they have what they have, they start to get very complacent, very demotivated. And this can work the opposite way too. Once the hope of having goes away, that's when they also give up and get demotivated. And I see this so much with my clients who they join on day one and they're really excited about doing the program, excited about changing themselves and improving themselves. But then if they don't see the results coming up in the next month, in the next two, basically if they don't see immediate results, they start to get all pouty, demotivated, and they give up. Or the other side too, where if they were to get the results within the next month or two, they get complacent and they experience what we call fake reconciliation, where your partner is really coming closer to test the waters to see, what are you really made of? Are these changes really real? But then because they coast, because they got complacent, they just crumble the house of cards that they built down again. So the mistake I think a lot of people make is that they think that the hard part is learning the right what and the right how. And to be honest, my clients can learn the right what and the right how within a matter of days. But this level of mastery doesn't really create trust. The hard part is really practicing the right what and the right how up to the point until you can no longer get it wrong. And that takes my clients 6, 12, or even 18 months sometimes. If you look at all my client stories, for example, they're all 9 months to 18 months in the making. That's really the hard part. But that's what you need. That is what is needed to actually create that trust. That level of performance mastery to where you can be consistent. You can do the right things accidentally. You can do the right things effortlessly. And that again goes back into the moments where your actions and reactions now are to the point where you're doing the right things in moments when you absolutely cannot fake it, because the right things has become your lowest default now. The second reason why having the wrong why or a lack of why will really ruin your how and the what is that it will ruin your micro expressions. So I want you to imagine this. I want you to imagine that someone is doing something nice for you, or maybe saying something nice for you, but by looking at the way they present themselves, their micro expressions, their microtones, you can sense something is fishy. You can sense that they're really looking for something in return. So they're doing, in this case, because they want to have, not doing because they are. Can you fully trust that person? Can you fully receive the gift, the nice things they're doing for you, the nice words they're saying to you with open arms, 100%? Of course not. You're always gonna have something in the back of your mind that prevents you from fully trusting that. Now, you can't really pinpoint what that is because it's so subtle. But when you are doing the right what and the right, what you think is the right how with the wrong why, this is exactly the type of fishiness that you're giving your partner at that exact moment. And you might think you're doing a great job at hiding it and saying the right things with the right how, but you can never fake this. The fishiness can be smelt by your partner from a mile away, and you cannot be in control of your twitch, of your facial twitches, facial movements, your subtle microtones, your subtle diction, your subtle choice of words, and you cannot hide that in the moment. And just like how you had a hard time trusting that person, your partner will have a very hard time trusting you, even if, again, you think that you have the perfect what and the perfect how. And a third way it destroys trust is that, again, you will have the wrong reactions. And the reactions going to be very subconscious, they're going to be very reflexive for you, the wrong reactions. And a classic example of this is, sometimes I will see people who make a lot of promises to their partner. They will say, for example, I will go through this journey of changing myself to becoming a better husband no matter what. So that's their action. And then their partner will resist them by saying, hey, let's not waste money and time trying to get this relationship back because I'm not coming back. There's no way I'm changing my mind. So please save your time, save your money, save your effort for something else because this is not going to go anywhere. So their partner resists there. And imagine these two reactions. The first reaction, again, is you back down and you say, you know what, partner, you're right. Never mind what I said earlier. Never mind my promises, my commitment. I'm going to back down because you're right. There is no hope here. So imagine if that was your reaction. And that was your reaction because the only reason why you're doing your changes, your motivations for your changes is really to have. And once your partner takes away that having from you, you just say, okay, fine, I won't do anymore. But look at what are the undercurrents that you're telling your partner right then and there. You're telling your partner that she was right to doubt your intentions for why you wanted to change in the first place. So she has suspicions that no, this guy is not really changing for right reasons. He's only changing because he wants me back. And so I'm going to call him out on it. And when you back down, you're basically confirming her suspicions. But imagine a second reaction here. A reaction bred out of the fact that you're doing because you are. You know your why, and your why is based on the right thing. And you say instead, hey, that's totally fine. This may not lead to a good outcome or us reconciling, but the reason why I'm changing is because I really don't want to hurt you or anyone else, or I want to create a better relationship with my son. I want to become a better father, husband, person, etc. And so regardless of what you do, I'm still going to go through this journey anyway. Imagine if you said that. So here your partner was calling you out on your bad intention, and you're basically saying, no, that's not my intention. You were wrong. And so you can imagine how that will plant a lot of seeds of doubt in your partner's mind about why she mistrusts you in the first place. So again, you can see with these three issues, you may think again that you have the right what and the right how, but without the right why, it'll be pretty much impossible for you to actually get the right how and the what, regardless of how much time you spend on it, regardless of how perfect you think your what and how are. So now that we talked about the importance of the why, let's break down what makes the right why that actually builds trust. And the right why must have these three components. The first piece that you need is what we call the internal motivation. And that's really the selfish motivation behind what you do. And really the main question is, how does doing this benefit you? The second piece that it needs is what we call external motivation. And that's the motivation of how does doing this benefit other people, in this case, your partner. And the third crucial piece is what we call the intrinsic motivation. And that is, how is doing this enjoyable, fulfilling, and beneficial for me in and of itself? You need to get all three in harmony in order for whatever you do and say to feel, to seem trustworthy and genuine. So to understand this a bit deeper, let's imagine that you're receiving a gift from someone. And you can tell that they have some internal motivations there. You can tell they have some external motivations, but you cannot tell that they have some intrinsic motivation. So they're giving you this gift and they're telling you, for example, I want to give you this gift because I know you always wanted this, for example. But you can tell that they're giving you the gift out of a lot of obligation. They didn't actually enjoy giving you that gift, didn't actually feel good giving you that gift. Can you actually receive that gift with open arms? Usually it's gonna be pretty difficult. But if you have someone giving you a gift and they said, you know what, I enjoyed actually giving you this gift, buying you this gift, and seeing your reaction to this gift, then you can really start to receive it with open arms. So even if one of these ingredients are missing, that's going to make anything you do less trustworthy. So of all these three, the first two are usually pretty easy for people to find and get. So the internal motivation, for example, your selfish reasons of why you want to change is going to be pretty obvious. Obviously, you will get your relationship back, etc. The second part is also quite easy because a lot of men don't have issues or problems making promises to their partner about, oh, if I change, these great things will happen to you, I can provide to you all these great things. But the part that they struggle is really the intrinsic, because a lot of people, the why, for why they do the how and the what, is really to have and not because they are. And without this, it'll be impossible for you to have that intrinsic motivation. But again, just one of these ingredients missing is enough to make anything you do untrustworthy. So the next question then becomes, how do you find these intrinsic motivations for yourself to basically complete the holy trinity of the key ingredients needed to create trust? So the first step is really stop going outside in and go inside out. So a lot of people, again, start with the what, they start with the how, and they figure out the why latest, if not at all. You know, when I look at a lot of your comments, guys, in emails to me, all I see are questions around people asking about the what to do, the how to do it, but never about the why. And most people don't ever work on the why because number one, working on the why is slow and it doesn't yield immediate or apparent results externally. So let's say for my clients, they may take 6 to 9 months fixing their why, fixing their intentions, fixing their internals. The world can never really see the internal work that they're doing, at least not immediately. And so a lot of people, they're so focused on showing off and marketing their changes immediately that they never work on the why, which is the most crucial part, but because it's the most unseen part, they never work on it. But if you look at any of my client stories, the ones who are able to reconcile despite being in very dire situations, their story, their biggest takeaways are always in the why. They build the internal shifts, they build the right intentions, they build the right internal states, and from there, everything will click. So when you stop going outside in, focusing on the what first, the how, and then the why, if at all. If you start with the why, you will find that when you have the right intention, when you have the right why, the right how will become second nature to you. And the right what will become second nature to you. The same way, if I have the right intention for why I do business, for why I'm in a relationship, I don't need to fake or script what I say or how I say it. Because my micro expressions, my micro tones, the things I say will naturally be bred from that why, from that noble intention, and I no longer have to fake it anymore. And so once you make this first shift, this is also why we stress so much in our program, this concept of untethering. And so untethering, if you think about it, is you shifting your focus away from obsessing, focusing, and working to get the outcomes, and into obsessing, focusing and working on the processes itself. So basically it's you learning to source your intrinsic enjoyment, intrinsic motivation away from having an outcome into doing a process. So this is basically making the shift away from doing to have and into doing because you are. And the reason why this is crucial, guys, is that people who haven't made this shift, haven't untethered, they're the ones who often have the hardest time getting the outcome they want or keeping the outcome that they already have. If you look at a lot of people who yo-yo diet, for example, who cannot seem to build legacy results that last decades, is because, again, people who yo-yo diet, they diet because they want to have that weight loss, right? So once again, they have the weight loss, they get demotivated, or when they see that they're not going closer to the weight loss that they want, they get demotivated too. But it's only the people who do because they are, who can finally lose that weight and stay and actually keep that weight loss, keep being skinny. It's only the people who are able to enjoy the process of dieting, of eating healthy as a lifestyle, as something that has no finish line, are the people who not only get the outcomes they want, but also they keep the outcomes they're getting. Now, another big reason why untethering is so crucial is that it makes everything you do a lot more genuine. When you start to do because you are, everything, the how and the what, becomes so much more genuine, so much more effortless, so much more effective as well. And remember again, your success in life depends on how much trust you can create with other people. The success you have in your relationship depends on the trust you create with your partner. The success you have as a parent depends on the trust you create with your children. And the same thing goes for work, same thing goes for your family and everything in life. So here's the kind of funny bottom line that I tell a lot of my clients. If your obsession and your intention behind why you want to join the program and why you want to do the program and why you want to better yourself is to reconcile, you will ironically never reconcile. It's only when you learn how to do the program, how to make your changes without any expectation of an outcome. You do it because you are. You do it because you love it intrinsically. Ironically, that's the moment when reconciliation will happen. And this is a very mind-bending concept that takes my clients a lot of time to really grasp, not just conceptually, but experientially in their souls. But it's a very, very crucial one to understand. So again, just to recap this whole thing, when you have the right why, that is when your actions will become very genuine, because your actions will be right not only in the times that you can fake, but in times that you cannot fake as well. But it'll also affect your reactions, and that your reactions will become to be the right ones, not only in the times that you can fake, but in times that you cannot fake as well. And this cycle of action and reaction will continue. And as it continues, you'll basically starve her reasons for distrusting or not trusting you. And you will feed the side of her that can trust you. And slowly, this is how my clients can rebuild trust, even though they've had decades long of affairs sometimes. And the worst relationships, the worst things they did to destroy that trust in their marriage. And so guys, if you want to understand the right internal shifts, for you to understand how to get the right why, the right intentions, in order to basically work inside out in the circles of trust, you can join me in my masterclass in the 5 proven steps to rebuilding your relationship from the ground up. In that masterclass, I'll show you the exact steps in the exact order that all my clients have used to take them from very dire situations to where they are today. So if you want to join me in the masterclass, click the link above my head or also down below this video. And so I hope that was helpful for you guys, and I'll see you in the next video.